Hello everyone, welcome back to the new video. In this video, we will set up the functionality to get our blog contents and we will show that content to our blog content screen. And first thing, let's go to our data package and this remote package and here this remote blog data source interface. Here let's define one function which will get the content of that markdown file as a string. This will be a suspend function and let's name it fetch blog content. And we are going to pass the URL of that markdown file and it will give us the string. Let's wrap that string inside this result class. Now go to our Ktor remote blog data source and implement this function. Here press Ctrl I and enter. And for its implementation we can copy the code from here. And these two catch exceptions and these error message will be the same. Only thing we need to change is here we need to get the content from this URL which we are going to pass through this parameter. And let's receive this body as a simple text with this body as text function. And these are blog content. So let's rename it. And this will be our function which will get the content of those markdown files as a simple string. Now close it. Next thing, let's also create one more table into our local database where we will only store the blog's content as a string. So go to our local package and here in this entity package, let's create one more entity with the name blog content entity. First thing, we need to annotate this with this entity annotation and we need to name this table. And for that, again, we are going to use the constant file and use this constant for our table name. And we are going to keep two columns in our table. First one will be this blog ID, so we can differentiate between the blog content to which content belongs to which blog. And let's annotate this blog ID with this primary key and minimize these imports. Next thing, we need to go to our blog DAO and here let's add two more functions. First function will be with the name insert blog content and we are going to provide the blog content. And again let's annotate with this insert annotation. Next function will be get blog content and we are going to provide the blog ID to this function and it will return us the blog content entity and it can be null. And use a query annotation and we need to write the query. So here simply write select everything from blog content table where blog ID will be equal to the blog ID we are going to provide. Next thing, go to our blog database class and here we have added one more entity. Let's add to our database class also. And we also need to update the version because we have changed the schema by adding one more entity to our database and everything else will be same and there is only one DAO we have. So now we can close all these files related to this local database. Now next thing, in our domain package here in this blog repository interface, let's define one function with the name get blog by id and we are going to provide the blog id and it will give us the blog and we need to wrap inside this result class. Now next main thing, we need to implement this function. So go to our repository implementation and here press Ctrl I and enter. Here first thing, let's get the content with the help of this remote blog data source and fetch blog content. But this function needs the URL of the blog content file. For this, we need to first get the blog from our local database with the help of this blog ID. because right now we only have this block ID. So here first let's get the block from the local database. Use this local block data source and get block by ID. And we have the block ID. Now we have the block from the local database and we can use this to get the content URL. Here this block entity can be null. So in that case, let's use a return block. If somehow our local database doesn't have this block, but that will be a rare case because we are going to that block content screen by clicking on that particular block, which will be already there in the local database. But here just use the return block with the error case with this message. Now we don't have any null error here. Next thing, we got the content, but this will be of type result. So again we need to use the when block and use the content result and press Alt Enter and add remaining branches. And here we have two branches. If we get the block content successfully from the network, then we are going to update the local database first. So here use the insert block content and we need to provide the block content entity to this function. So here let's create block content and this will be of type this block content entity. And first thing we need to provide the block ID and the content, and block ID we already have with this function and the content we got from this network. If somehow it is null, then we are going to use empty string and provide this block content entity here. Here this function needs the block. So what we need to do here, pass this success case, but the data we will take this block entity which we get through the local database and we need to convert this to the block with that mapper function, but this mapper function will keep the content as the null. So here we can update this content from our content result.data. So in this way, if we get the data successfully from our remote block data source, then we are going to provide the block like this. And in the error case, if we have suppose no internet, then we can get the block content from our local database. And we already have the block ID. Here use an if else branch with this content entity not equal to null. And in the else case, if we get the null, here we are going to use the success case with the data from our local database. And in the else case, use the result.error with the message failed to fetch block content. And we are also going to use the message which we got from our network. So this will be our function. Here just use the return keyword and we don't have error anymore now. Now next we are going to this block to our block content view model. So go to our presentation package and this block content view model. And here first get the repository. And let's also create one data class where we will keep the state related to this block content screen. And these are the things we are going to keep in our block content state class. And close it. And here first thing let's define two state value for read and write purpose. And here we have one private value and one public value. Next thing, let's define one function with the name get block by id. first call the blog repository and get blog by ID, and the blog ID we already have from our previous screen. And let's also make this private and use the when block. Press Alt Enter, add remaining branches. In the success case, we are going to update our states with error message to null and block to our block we are getting through this get block by ID function, and copy this and use it here also. But this time we are going to update our error message from the message we are going to receive from this function. And let's also move inside this when block. And this will be our get block by ID function. Now next let's use our block data to our blog screen. Go to our blog content screen and we are going to provide the state to our screen. And here first thing let's update our blog content top bar. And here we are not going to use this title, but we are going to provide the title through this parameter, and this can be nullable string. So let's use the title of the block title, and in case we got the null value, then we are going to use this block content is the title. And scroll up, and here we are going to provide the title from our state. And for the content here, let's use this state dot block dot content. And next let's make our column scrollable. So for that first we are going to use fill max size, then this vertical scroll, and use the remember scroll state. Now our column will be scrollable. Next, this screen we are using in our nav graph, so let's go there. And here we need to provide the state, and for the state first we need the view model, and the view model we are going to get from this Koin view model and blog content view model. And one more thing you always need to remember, whenever you are getting the view model, you also need to define that in your DI module. So go to our Koin main module, and here use another view model of function, and this time we are going to use block content view model and use two colons, and next get the state. Now let's run our app, and here is our app. First let's click on the first block, and here we are not getting the block. I think I forgot to call that get block function. So go to our block content view model, and here we need to call this function. So this function will be called as soon as our state will be created. Now let's run our app again. Again click on this first card, and here we have the block content, and it is right now showing as a plain text. Hey everyone, if you are finding this tutorial helpful, you will love my premium Udemy course where we will build 𝒗𝒊𝒅𝒆𝒄𝒌𝒐𝒖𝒕, a fitness app using Jetpack Compose. We go in depth on the Firebase authentication, Firestore, and more. Check out the course in the description and take your skills to the next level. See you there. So here we need to modify few things. Go to our blog content screen. First thing, let's modify this title, and this needs to go into max lines 1. Define the overflow with this ellipsis. It will place 3 dots at the end of the sentence. Next thing, to format this markdown text as a markdown, and here we need to use this markdown text. And this composable function is coming from that library we added in the starting of the project. And here it accepts so many parameters. first thing we need to provide this markdown, and here we can provide our content, and let's use this content, and in the null case just use blank string. And if we go to the documentation of this markdown text composable function by pressing Ctrl B, and here we get how this function is being defined. And under the hood it is using this Android view, because here it is using this Mark1 library. What are the things we need to customize? First, this link color. So here it is using this unspecified, but we are going to use this link color from our secondary color. And next we can make our text selectable. We just need to provide this true value. So user can also select that text, and this syntax highlight color and this syntax highlight text color. And these two parameters are for those code blocks. So for that, here by default they have specified this gray and this unspecified. But our app is also compatible with the light mode and dark mode. So we need to specify the colors with the help of this material theme. So it can switch according to the theme. And we can use surface variant, and for this on surface variant. And this is how we are going to format our markdown text. And let's keep this composable in a separate composable with the name main content, and this will be a private function, and use a column layout here, and we are going to provide the block content. Here use this modifier, and let's use our main content composable function here. And this modifier, let's define first with this fill max size, and next this vertical scroll, and also give padding all around this content. And let's run our app again. And here we have the blocks. Click on the first one, and here we have the content with nicely formatted. And we can also see our code blocks are looking perfectly good. And go back to our previous screen and click on the second block, and here we have the second block content. Now next open the third. Now next functionality we are going to provide, so whenever we scroll down, so that top bar should hide, and if we scroll up, then that top bar should appear. So in this way we get the full screen for our content, and if user scrolls up, then we will also get the top bar. So for that, go to our block content screen, and here we have our top bar, and we get one parameter with the name scroll behavior. So we are going to provide this behavior through the parameters of this type top bar scroll behavior. And if you don't know the type of any parameter, then you just need to hover your mouse and you will get the type here. So we are going to use this scroll behavior, and this behavior we are going to provide here. For that we have this top bar default, press dot, and here you will get few different behaviors. You can also check out the other one, but we are going to use this enter always scroll behavior, and we need to opt in the experimental annotation and provide this scroll behavior to our top bar. And this column layout should also be aware of this scroll behavior, because this is a parent layout. So for that, here we have this nested scroll modifier, and use this scroll behavior dot nested scroll connection, and run our app again. and open this first blog, and if I scroll down, and that top bar should disappear, and here we have full screen to read the content. And if I scroll up, then first that top bar will appear, then the content will scroll up. Now next thing, we need to work on the error screen. So this content screen can get error sometime. That error will occur in case we have added a new blog and the user has not opened the content of that blog anytime. So that content will not be saved into the local database. But suppose user has no internet connection, so there is no blog content in the local database and user don't have internet connection. In that case, we will get error on our blog content screen. So for that, let's define one error screen. Here scroll down and create one more composable function. So here we will use a column layout. First attach this modifier and the horizontal alignment to center. And here we are going to use two things, an icon button and a text. And this will be our error content. So let's use our error content to our screen. So here use the when block. Here use the state dot error message. If it is not equal to null, it means we have some error. Then in that case we are going to our error content. And use an else branch here, and we are going to use main content in our else branch. And this is how we are going to define our content screen. Here when user will click on this refresh icon, then we need to call our get block by id again. So for that, here on our block content package, let's create one more file with the name block content action. So this sealed interface will be used for keeping all the users action. For now, we just only have one user action, and let's use that as a refresh. And this action we are going to provide to our screen, and go to our block content view model, and here create one more function, and this function will receive the block content action and use the when block and this action. Press alt enter at remaining branches, and on this refresh we are going to simply call our get block by id function, and let's attach this function to our screen, and that we are using in our nav graph. And here let's use this on action and view model on action, and this is how we have attached this content. So right now in our app, we have already opened all our blocks. So what we should do? Let's go to our block repository, go to this blocks.json file and open this edit mode. And in the last, let's edit one more entry. Put this ID 4 and Let's name it state management in Compose. For this content URL, I am going to create one more file with the name blog4.md. For the thumbnail URL, let's just use this room image for now and commit this change and go to our blogs folder and create a new file with the name blog4. And here just use some dummy text and delete this line and commit the change and go to our Android Studio. And one more thing I also need to do, go to our blog list view model and we need to show these blogs in the reverse order. So the latest blog should come first. So here just use the reverse function and here also. Now let's run our app. So here we have our app with a new blog. And right now I have not opened this blog content. So suppose if I turn off the internet and open it now, and here we get the error because there is no content in our local database, and we got a pretty good message. And let's do one more thing. Go to our blog content screen and here use the text align to center and also use the modifier with fill max width. And let's run our app again to see how this is looking. And we got the toast and open the first block. And here now it is looking more good. So if I click on this refresh button, then nothing will happen. But if I open the internet and now if I click on this refresh button and it is not fetching the block content. So let me see, is there anything I forgot to do? Here I forgot to add this on action and use this on action with blog content action dot refresh and run it again. First let me turn off the internet. Now let's it and open the blog content again, and if I click on this refresh button nothing will happen. But let me open the internet and here we have the content. So if I suppose turn off the internet now, here we can fetch all the blogs because we already have blog content in our local database. And this is how we are going to use the blog content to our screen. And that's all for this video. In the next video, we will provide our loading screen by showing a shimmer effect. As always, if you have any questions or suggestions, feel free to drop them down in the comment section. And if you are finding these videos helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.